Okay, I'd like to say a few more words about specifics on the video you just saw. Crew health is always important to us, and several studies will be examining that. One of the things you saw in the video was a German Space Agency study, or bioprint first aid, which is a handheld device that someday will be used to kind of create human cell bandages that you can put on that'll increase and expedite healing. This study will actually not be using cells this time, but that is the intent. And that'll be very useful down the road when we're going to the moon and Mars if the astronauts have an injury. But also this could be used in remote places on the Earth or places that don't have all the facilities that might be useful. As a former instructor, it's always exciting to see STEM projects, and there's a couple projects going up there, the Student Payload Opportunity with Citizen Science, or SPOCS. And one of those studies is when astronauts touch surfaces, just like here on the Earth, you can transmit bacteria. And what they're looking at is trying to produce bacteria-resistant polymers that can then be applied to surfaces so that they won't spread. And an exciting part of that science is that an army of about 200 students on the ground have been utilizing and testing the protocols that will be used on orbit. Now, another study that's related to crew health is the host pathogen study. We've known from studying astronauts on the space station for a while that their immune systems can be degraded due to the stresses of flying in space. Bacteria and viruses can also be more virulent in space. So what this study is going to do is it's going to look at bacteria and cultivate it with blood cells from the astronauts taken before, during, and after their mission to see how both the bacteria and the response change over time. Another interesting study on this flight is the multivariable plant, or MVP-01 project. We've grown plants on the space station for a while now, and I've learned a lot, but usually what we do is we grow it in space on the station, and we have a control plant on the ground. What this will do is allow us to do the same environmental studies and vary one of those particular variables. This study will vary or look at the effects of gravity, because you'll have some seeds growing in the microgravity environment, but there's also a centrifuge in there that will do Earth's one gravity environment. So you'll be able to directly compare the plants grown with the same oxygen, carbon dioxide, and radiation environment. And this will allow us to understand better how to grow plants, which growing our own food going to Mars will be important, and it'll allow us to do better crop understanding and farming on the ground. You saw in the video an astronaut folding a shirt because laundry is a big challenge for astronauts. Normally today what we do is we fly up clothing, and after the astronauts wear it, we throw it out. It would be very efficient if we could recycle or wash that laundry. We estimate going to Mars will take about 500 pounds of clothing per astronaut, which is a significant amount of material to carry. So what the PG Tide study does is Procter & Gamble have reformulated some of their detergent to make it compatible with the ISS systems. It's degradable and it won't affect the ISS systems. As you may be aware, we recycle all of our consumables, things like water, so we want to make sure that this would not affect it. And this study will look at the stability of the detergent in the microgravity and radiation environment. And if we can develop a way to not have to take all that clothing, that'll be great for going to Mars. But if we can reduce the pollution footprint and use less water on the ground, that'll also be very useful to us. The last one that I wanted to mention is the turbine superalloy casting module, or turbine SCM. And what this is looking at is producing the better superalloys in space. An alloy is a material that has two chemicals in it, one of which is a metal. And they believe that in the microgravity environment, they will be able to make better crystalline substructures in the alloys. And if that works out, then we can make things like turbines for jet engines that will be stronger and less thermally susceptible, which will reduce maintenance costs. And then hopefully that sort of item could be manufactured in the future. So that's just a few of the science stuff. I could spend a lot of time because there's a lot going up, but I'll just mention to keep up with the space station science, you can always follow us at www.nasa.gov/ISS-science or follow us at ISS_research. Thank you very much.
Dr. Bob, thank you so much. It's really interesting to see the wide variety of science you guys are flying up, and to also just realize, the things that we think about here on Earth are what our astronauts need to think about as well. And that, again, goes in with that tide experience we were talking about. All right, so Sarah from SpaceX, your turn.
Sure. It's great to be here today. Thank you again for having me, and it's great to be here with NASA and my ISS colleagues and the Space Launch Delta 45. As Joel and Bob mentioned, we are less than 24 hours from our 24th cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station, and it's been a record-breaking year for SpaceX too. This is our 31st and final launch of 2021, which puts us a step above the 26 launches we completed last year. And today we're using a new booster, but I think I have a chart to show you that shows that this is only the second mission this year. We've debuted a new Falcon 9 first stage booster. Reusability is key to lowering the cost of spaceflight, which enables more investments in critical scientific research. And so it's great to see this trend as we go into the future. And if all goes according to plan, this will actually be our 100th recovery of an orbital class booster from space since our first successful landing in 2015. And to make it even more special, if the clouds part for us and we are able to launch on the 21st and we do recover that booster, it will also be on the anniversary of our very first booster landing. It was December 21st of 2015, so that's really exciting too. Falcon 9 is vertical on the pad at 39A. The last of the time-critical science is being loaded in as we speak, and we're tracking no issues ahead of tomorrow morning's launch at 5:06 a.m. Eastern Time. We do have a backup opportunity available, though, the following day, Wednesday the 22nd, if needed. So this is the second flight of this Dragon supporting this mission. It previously flew CRS-24, another cargo resupply mission earlier this year. And it's our sixth Dragon flight of the year, our fifth to the International Space Station for NASA, so following Crew 2, Crew 3, CRS-22, and CRS-23 earlier this year. Actually, 12 astronauts and 28,000 pounds of cargo have safely made it to space and back this year in 2021, including all the cargo on board this mission launching tomorrow. So really busy year, and looking ahead to the next year, we have several more missions to the space station to take both crew and cargo, including the first fully commercial human spaceflight mission to ISS in partnership with Axiom. So 4 people will spend about a week on board the space station, and that mission, along with Crew 4 and CRS-25, are all slated to launch in the first half of next year. So really exciting year, 2022 as well. I just want to say again, we're honored to be here, and thank you, NASA, for your continued partnership and trust in SpaceX.
Thank you so much. And you already alluded to the fact that weather, obviously, is something that we're all keeping a close eye on. So, Arlena, do you mind telling us what it looks like tomorrow?
Yes, as everybody has kind of already brought up a little bit prior to this, is unfortunately weather is not tracking to be the greatest for our launch attempt early tomorrow morning. For those of us here on the Space Coast this morning, we woke up to a little cooler, cloudy conditions. We did have a front go through last evening, but that's not the last we're going to see of that particular frontal boundary. If we take a look at satellite imagery going on currently, that big mass blob that's out there in the Gulf of Mexico is a developing low-pressure system out there. It's developing along our old boundary that went through last night, and that is going to track across the eastern Gulf of Mexico the rest of the day and across the state of Florida here, the Florida Peninsula, over the next kind of 24 hours. Unfortunately, right as we're planning our launch opportunity late tonight into early tomorrow morning. So if we take a look at our forecast here for our primary launch attempt, we are going to be looking at winds from the south-southeast, about 10 to 15 miles an hour, though they could be a bit breezy at times, as we are currently seeing. Temperatures in the low 70s, and sort of the big number there that's seeing is that our probability of go conditions is only 30% at this time, as we're going to be looking at probably in addition to the cloudiness, showers and storms in the vicinity through our count this late tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, there is still a hope that we may get a little bit of clearing towards our plan T0 as the boundary kind of lifts north and before the low crosses the state. So that's what we're hoping for this evening. Now, if we look at our backup day, about 24 hours later, that area of low pressure will be moving out into the Atlantic, across up the eastern seaboard there. So we'll be on the backside of that. So here locally, we'll be looking at much drier conditions with a percent of go of 70%. Just looking at a few clouds in the area, maybe a sprinkle or two. But it will be breezy with winds from the west-northwest in that 17 to 22 mile an hour period. So not the greatest weather for tonight, but things are looking better for our backup day. But we'll still keep our fingers crossed that we can find a good launch opportunity for tonight.
Yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for tonight, early tomorrow morning. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. We're going to now take some questions from reporters in the room. We also have some reporters on our line. When I call on you, please state your name, the affiliation, and who you'd like to answer your questions. So we have Ken right here.
Hi, thank you. Ken Kramer, Space Up Close. And it's awesome to be here, Joel. Thanks for having us here. This is really spectacular to be back in here, and good luck to all of you with the launch. So looking a little bit to the future, I think Crew 6 is going to have a Russian cosmonaut on it, or Crew 5. Can you talk a little bit about what's the status exactly of Russian cosmonauts flying on future commercial crew missions, please? Thanks.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's good to see you guys again and not talking to just the camera. And so we're happy to be here and enjoy doing these press conferences face-to-face again. As far as the crew swap, you said it right. The plan is on Crew 5. And so fall of 22, where we plan to have a Russian cosmonaut on a SpaceX vehicle and then a NASA astronaut on a Soyuz vehicle. And so we are working. So there's, as we've talked about, there's some governmental agreements that have to happen between our State Department and the Russian ministries. The preliminary agreement has been out of the State Department and is now on the Russian side and the Russian government. But in parallel, we have cosmonauts in training and astronauts in training. You've seen some of the press releases from Roscosmos. So we are pressing forward with the goal of success for the fall of 22, where we start doing this rotation that we've been talking about so long for.
Great. Thank you so much, Joel. Thank you for the question. Over here.
Hello, Sergey Yumatov, Russian news agency Itartas. I have actually a follow-up question. Are there plans of NASA Director Bill Nelson of traveling to Moscow? I know that there are plans, but are there exact dates and time frame for this trip?
For who traveling to Moscow?
Bill Nelson. Or other NASA executives.
Sure. So Senator Nelson and Mr. Rogozin have talked regularly. As far as future plans, I'm not aware of a specific date. I know they do want to have a face-to-face. They both talked very positively about when that could happen. My hope is that as soon as it's safe to travel for that will occur. I can tell you other senior management, both from the Russian side to the United States and from the United States to Russia, will continue traveling. A handful of us were just in Russia right before Thanksgiving, and we're going to continue those. It's important to maintain that relationship to us.
Thank you. And we have Stephen Clark from Spaceflight Now on the line. Can you hear us, Stephen? Stephen, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? I'm just trying to get my Bluetooth set up.
Oh, no problem. Do you have your question ready?
Yes, I do. A follow-up, first of all, from Ken's question to Joel. Can you talk about when you would have to have that agreement in place to have Russian cosmonauts start training in Hawthorne for a Dragon flight? And also, what are your plans for subsequent launch attempts beyond Tuesday and Wednesday? When would be the next opportunity, both on the range and with orbital phasing? Thanks.
Okay, so we've already had cosmonauts at Hawthorne training. We have a cosmonaut right now, and the plan is to finish that training, and then that person will come back in late January, early February. And I'll let Sarah add if she wants to add anything to that one. And then as far as backup opportunities, we have a backup the next day, so 24 hours later. And then we would recycle. The next opportunity after that would be the 25th. Anything I missed?
Nothing to add. We're just always excited to train the crews that you send our way.
Great. All right, next person on the phone is Amy Thompson, space.com.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I was wondering for the landings. I know this would be the 100th landing, but what does that mean for SpaceX, and what does that mean in terms of reusability and being able to continue to fly these used rockets?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So you know it's core to SpaceX's mission. Imagine if you had to throw away the plane every time it took a LA to New York flight, right? Air travel will be astronomical. And so it's critical to lowering the cost of spaceflight to continue to reuse these boosters more and more times. And 100 is a big milestone. So we're excited about that. And we're also excited to see how few new boosters we have to produce as the years go by and we develop robust maintenance processes on the fleet. So you'll just continue to see the trend continue, I think.
Great. And then I have a question on social media here. So this is for Dr. Bob. You mentioned time-sensitive experiments having to come back. Will this splashdown again be off the coast of Florida?
Well, I think Sarah can check me on that, but I think that's the plans, and that is very useful because there's a number of studies that, if we can get to the researchers' hands quickly. For example, the crystals that we bring back that we've created in microgravity can degrade over time in the Earth's 1G environment, and I know the one of the studies that's on this mission and the PCG mission or study that will be looking at the monoclonal antibodies. The researchers are very excited that they'll be able to get those materials in their hands very quickly and begin the research, literally, I think, within hours of landing.
Yeah, that's right. We do have multiple sites on both coasts in Florida, so off the Atlantic coast and in the Gulf. And so we just look at weather and which site is most available in the time frame that NASA needs the science to return. But yes, that enables us to get science into the hands of the scientists at KSC within hours, which is really exciting. And it's more efficient for us as well. We do all of our refurbishment and maintenance of our Dragon capsules right here in Florida, and so enables us to get that capsule quickly back to the site to begin preparations for its next mission.
Great, thank you. And Jeff Faust, Space News, is also on the line. Jeff, can you ask us your question?
Yeah, good afternoon. A question for Joel. I wanted to see if there were any updates from Roscosmos into the investigation of the thruster firings by the MLM shortly after its docking in July. If you've heard anything more about what the root cause was and any sort of actions that they needed to take in the future. Thanks.
So good question, Jeff. No new information. We're continuing to work with our Russian colleagues. We've gone through and done our investigation on our side. And the next step is where we sit down between NASA and Roscosmos and kind of compare notes, basically. Although we've been talking throughout the time since that happened, we'll go ahead and sit down and say, hey, here's our understanding of what happened, and they'll give us comments to that, and then we'll sit down and we'll look at lessons learned. It's important, that we take the lessons learned from these and apply them to future programs. So on our side, we'll be looking to, what kind of lessons that were learned, what can we apply to both space station as well as the Orion program, Gateway program, the lander program, et cetera, and I expect the Russians will do the same thing.
Thank you, Joel. And then another question from online here. I believe this is also for Dr. Bob. Both student experiments have to do with studying bacteria in space. Did NASA ask these students to study this topic again as part of that STEM program? And if so, why?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I'd have to get back to you if we asked them, but it's definitely, the astronaut immunization or immune system is very interesting to us. So whenever they want to partner on those sort of subjects, we're happy to work with them on that.
Great. And Joel, I think this is an apropos question to end this press conference off with, but can the crew on board expect any holiday treats for this launch?
Absolutely. So every year we do our best to send up some presents to the crew. I won't get in front of Santa Claus and tell you what's going to be sent up, but we are going to have some gifts for the crew. We're also going to fly some special food for Christmas dinner. So you can imagine turkey, green beans. We have some fish and some seafood that's smoked. We also have everybody's favorite fruitcake, and so we will have food and gifts for the crew.
Perfect. That sounds delicious. All right. So that'll wrap up this news conference again for SpaceX's 24th commercial resupply services mission to the International Space Station. Thank you to all who participated and asked questions as well. Again, launch tomorrow morning, 5:06 a.m. Eastern Time. Our joint broadcast with SpaceX will begin on NASA TV at 4:45 a.m. And then Dragon will dock with the space station around 4:30 a.m. Wednesday morning, with coverage of that to begin on NASA TV at 3 a.m. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and happy holidays.